step outside of myself and to recognize that oftentimes, and more often than not, what I think, what I believe is actually just an emotion from the past and not what is really happening around me.
Tye Glover is joining us today on CallumConnects Micro-Podcast. Tye is the innovator behind Creative Juices and has been a serial innovator and seeker of the wisdom of the ages for more than 20 years.
I think the three most important things I've learned as an entrepreneur are A, nothing is wasted unless you waste it. So all those experiences that you've had in life, positive or negative, you can find something from those experiences to leverage them to propel your life forward in any direction you want to go. You just have to be able to look across and find out where those connections exist. Second thing I've learned is minimize risk and maximize opportunity. If you've ever had a situation, even going back as far as the ancient times with even cavemen, where they had a cave bear that may have come into the cave and may have killed one or two people within the cave of the clan before they were able to actually kill that cave bear. What did they do next? Well, they probably took care of their dead, but they definitely did not pull that cave bear out of that cave and toss its body down the cave. They actually would cut that thing up and they would use its skin or its fur for cover. They would use its meat for food because you minimize the risk. And the risk itself was that cave bear coming into your cave and killing anyone who it could kill. And then you maximize the opportunity. This is part of us as far as our core basic understanding of how we interface with the world. And it has gone back for a millennium, as far back as it's possible for humans to go back. We always minimize a risk and then we pivot to maximize the opportunity. And I think the last thing is to step outside of myself and to recognize that oftentimes, and more often than not, what I think, what I believe is actually just an emotion from the past and not what is really happening around me. I remember being in a bar in Costa Rica, and I think I was around 24, 25, and I was suffering from severe acne, so I really had huge issues of self-confidence. But I was there to learn Spanish, so it was a positive direction that I was in. And I remember being in this bar, and this young lady sitting across the bar, looking over at me. She was probably a prostitute, but nonetheless, looking over, and she started to approach me. And right away, I'm thinking, I'm not going to know anything that this young lady is saying because I've only been in country for, 3 or 4 days. I'm not going to know Spanish. And she steps over and she speaks. And my automatic response was, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. Her reply back to me was, I'm speaking English. You see, but I put it in my head that there's no way in the world I'm going to understand this young lady because in the context of where I'm meeting her, I'm in a bar. I'm in a bar in Costa Rica, which means I'm in a foreign bar in a country where they speak Spanish. So it was plausible for me not to know what she's speaking if, in fact, I didn't speak Spanish. But it wasn't until I actually stepped back, she explained it, and then I recognized the fact that I oftentimes bring my historical beliefs, just like that rabbit, recognizing when it hears a sound, it automatically focuses on fight or flight. I focused in on fight or flight with regards to that young lady. The fight portion was, should I step up or should I walk away because I was nervous, my blood pressure was rising, the amygdala was kicking off, and therefore I was in that fight or flight mode. I couldn't process the information, but it wasn't until we actually step away from those situations where we're being emotionally impacted, can we actually make a clear decision and move forward in a positive direction. So that was the third lesson that I had learned, to step back, to deconstruct the situation, understand the emotions that I'm bringing into it, and therefore be able to make a much clearer decision moving forward. Cheers.
If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to find more inspiring information about entrepreneurs around the world doing incredible things, make your way to enterprisezone.cc.